All right. So we should be recording now. But like I said, I can edit this video, so I don't need to be saying anything just yet. Let's get to the camera. Get to the channel. Perfect. I can see you. All right. Welcome to the Crusade Cast. We're going to be jumping right into a couple of the political topics. My name's Ben, and I am joined with my co-host. Oh, did you want to go by your name?
We'll do LJ. LJ.
Okay. So I'm joined
LJ.
here by my co-host LJ, where we're going to be
Yes,
going over
sir.
some controversial topics, some main topics going on in the political world today. This channel is not just about politics, but we do want to dabble in it a little bit because politics is a very important part of our society. And let's face it, there's a lot of people being censored or afraid to say what really needs to be said. So I figured we'd just dive right into Charlie Kirk's assassination. LJ, what do you think? Just based on all the stuff going on, are you super familiar with it? Do you got kind of any ideas, anything you'd like to start with?
I've seen a couple of videos on TikTok. There's a lot of whatever that conspiracy theory
Conspiracy
behind it.
theories?
Yeah. And every point that touches up um on the subject is intriguing. You know, from how like lack of emotion there
Hmm.
is from the wife to how um, things are playing out. What I mean by that is, for instance, like uh, how I guess where his best friend was not invited to it was kind of weird. Um, how like instead of it being like a family thing, it was like a televised thing. So it made me question a lot of like like
Are you talking
like
about
the
the funeral?
yeah.
Okay.
It was
I get
it
what you're
was
saying.
just very it was just very weird on how everything went when it came to that. And when you look at the video closely of how everything happened, a lot of the people who touched on that subject noticed like certain hand movements as well. I don't know if you saw that.
Hmm. I'm very
Yeah. So
familiar with it. Yep.
what are your thoughts on those?
On just the hand signals, or everything in general?
Everything I mentioned, and then your what you feel like as well.
As far as like, I don't know if you'd call it the funeral ceremony, or I forget what they're called, if they're called like eulogies or whatnot. But yeah, the whole thing being televised was a little weird to me. Um, but I guess because he's a big figure, you can kind of you can kind of understand that. As far as the hand signs, there's actually been I listened to like Tim Pool, things like that. They have security, and he was actually saying that having hand signs is typical. It's actually very typical for security companies to have bodyguards, things like that. It's a way of communicating without letting the whole world know what you're doing. So it is very common for security companies to have stuff like that. So as far as that, that's explainable. The one thing that there's a lot of things about it that was very strange to me. So, um, have you heard or have you seen the interview with the head of their security, or at least the guy who used to be the head of their security? I don't know if he's still there.
I haven't seen that.
Okay, so part
I
of that
just I
interview,
just see whatever they put out. Like I do like I try not to go deep down into a rabbit hole if that makes sense.
okay. Well,
Hmm.
let me let you in on a little bit of information that he actually shared on, I think it
Hmm.
was the Sean Ryan podcast. So he essentially, was sharing that they didn't even bother to secure the roof. They didn't bother to secure it. They were told that the police, by the police captain or the police chief, that, oh, it's okay, we got that covered. You don't need to worry about it. These people, this security company is paid millions, hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars. So Tim Pool, of course, because I listened to him and he was saying that one of the things that they found odd was is his security team said that that's unacceptable. This company is getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars. That is not something that they would just let slide and just take the word of the local police and say, okay, don't worry about it. We're not going to go check on it, right?
Yeah.
So that was definitely number one. Tim Pool was already like, I wouldn't hire these people for anything. They've already shown to be super incompetent. Like, no, just no.
Uh,
So
Yeah.
that was number one,
That-
right?
And that's kind of weird too, because like why, like you're a security team for a reason. Why are you not checking the surrounding yourself?
Yeah. I mean, he's a big organization. This is by no means is an amateur security team, at least not that I'm aware of, because why would a big organization be paying this kind of money, to a rookie team? So it wouldn't make any sense to me. So in my theory, it doesn't seem right. That's already
Mhm.
off. But let's just take him at his word. Let's just say he's super incompetent. Well, now the world knows how incompetent you are. And here's the thing: a lot of times when you make that big of a mistake, your company takes major hits because you're a security company that let a high-profile asset die for something that was routine. You should have been checking those roofs. So, and another thing is he was saying there's no oh, go. Sorry about that. I had to let my dog out. But another thing, he was like, "Oh, it's against the law to fly drones." He was saying something to the effect that they couldn't do that just because of the state that they were in. Apparently, they had laws against that. Well, apparently, when Tim Pool was looking into it, that's not the case. He actually pulled up stating that they just needed to get permission and that you just needed to have licensed pilots for those drones, and then get your special permission, and then you would have been just fine.
Yeah.
So, okay, we already have holes in that. Then, not only that, Frank Turek, which is, someone who knows Charlie Kirk very well. I don't know if he's 100% officially part of TP USA. Well, Frank Turek comes out and says, "Hey, we got drone footage." And it's like, okay, where did this drone footage come from? Because the head of the security team was saying that they couldn't do it. They couldn't fly drones. So there's already discrepancies there in the story. So now it's like, okay, we don't know what's going on. This young man, which I consider him to be a kid, somehow on a college campus with a huge public figure that's going around, that's known to have a huge event, no guard access on the stairways to a roof with nobody watching this roof that has direct visual access to this person. Nobody's there. And then this whole time we're being told that this kid, which I'm just gonna call him kid, this kid had a disassembled, I believe it was a Mauser in his pants, walked up the stairs, which they said according to the video footage, the way he was bending his knee, they don't believe that he really had it in there, but let's just go with the narrative. The narrative stated that he had it disassembled in his pants. He walked up to the roof, assembled the rifle, aimed it, shot Charlie Kirk, got it. To my understanding, it seemed like a perfect spot on hit. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe he was aiming for the head and the bullet wound up making its way to his neck. That will be explained, right? Here's where it gets
I mean,
a little crazy.
I'm. Mm-hmm.
They said that.
I'm no.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say because this is where to me it starts getting a little out there, even though it was already a little out there before.
Mhm.
He somehow puts the barrel together when he's up there. Apparently, the gun is zeroed in because to me that looked like a very clean shot. But let's just say it wasn't zeroed in. He got amazingly lucky. We don't know if this kid's ever had any kind of training because according to Candace Owens, he's a fisherman. He hasn't, at least according to anyone's knowledge that has come forward, he doesn't have any special kind of training, no nothing. So he put a gun together. Supposedly it was accurate. Let's just say he had the skills to hit. Then how does he disassemble it in 2 seconds? Runs off the roof, jumps down the roof, walks into this little forest area, puts the barrel on, then leaves it in the area and then takes off. Who would do that? Who would stop to put the barrel on that firearm? And has anybody ever seen how difficult it can be to take that barrel on, to put that barrel on, and to take it off?
Hmm.
So those are just
You know,
that's just a little bit. So what are your
hmm
thoughts on that?
I mean, based on the information provided from you, for like everything you just said, realistically, if you're asking yourselves, how does that make sense from the narrative? It don't make sense.
That my
Like
thoughts exactly.
common sense, it ain't like if common sense was common, a lot of people I think would be asking, well, if he did that, how did this happen? How did that happen? How did it get there? Because honestly, I don't know much about um guns or stuff like that, but like when you look at the video, the trajectory doesn't it looked like something that came from close by, which is what a lot of people as well speculates.
Hmm. Well,
So let's say that is the narrative that is being said. Um, how would he even get a hold of such thing to do that? So, you remember the show I was telling you I was watching? Person of Interest.
hmm,
Person of Interest is a good show that breaks down on like a lot of these things that are happening because like some from what I've seen is like usually if it's like the like I think there's one show where the gentleman was unable to find work and then he ended up getting a call saying, "Look, we got work for you," by a fake agency. You know what I'm saying? They told him be there at this location, and then they gave them what's that thing called? The thing that
coordinates
the
or
no, not the coordinates. It's the weapon that does the
what, sniper?
what is it? No, not a sniper. It's what confetti. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the one that does confetti, and he was just getting ready to do the confetti, and out of nowhere, a shot was fired.
Hmm.
And guess who got blamed for it? The person that was doing the confetti. But in reality, he wasn't the one that did it. It was just the escape route, the scapegoat per se. So like watching things like that, and then hearing all these different um, point of views as well, and then hearing as well the narrative from each angle, like you tend to ask yourself like, what is really going on? What really happened? You know what I'm saying? Because if you really look at the picture, the I said the picture, the video, the trajectory that the way it came, I think that's why people are so focused on the hand signals.
Hmm.
Is from the look of it is not something that came from afar. It's something. It looks like something that came from up close.
Yeah, I mean, based off the building, how far it was, that bullet, and that's another thing. And here's what I find very interesting. The building wasn't that far, so anybody who's done hunting and has a basic, I guess, kind of basic usage of that weapon, who has hunted with it before a couple of times and is fairly decent, they're stating that they could have made that shot if you were fairly decent. You didn't have to be anybody super trained, but let's just say it is something you had to be super trained. Let's just say that it was right.
Hmm.
This I view him as a kid. He has no military training background that I am aware of any kind.
Hmm.
So the question now comes down to if they were that close and the bullet hits Charlie Kirk's neck, that that caliber of a bullet would not have done what it did. So from what I've
Yeah.
been seeing, it would have
Hmm.
essentially made a huge hole in his neck. It wouldn't have been a nice little, you know, hole that went in there. His neck caught it, and now all of a
mhm,
sudden, he bled out, he died, and it's a perfect little hole, and there's a miracle.
mhm,
Anybody
mhm,
who looks up that caliper and goes to look into like YouTube or maybe Rumble, you can see how the impact would have done a lot more than a little hole and his neck. And that's kind of why, Candace is a little baffled too. And I watch a lot of Candace as well because I'm just trying to see what questions she has. And she's asking fair questions. TPUSA, there's a lot of employees that did things that day that are very odd. You have the McCoys. The McCoy, and I'm trying to remember there's a son and a father. The father is a pastor, and during one of his sermons, he was saying how his son was heroic. He had blood all over him that day. But then when you look at the camera footage of his son was not near Charlie. He really didn't have any blood on him. He walked away from Charlie, if I remember correct. So we can already see that there's discrepancies here. The stories aren't
mhm,
matching. Then you saw one of the employees go into one of the cameras and grab the SIM card. So, Candace was like, hey, that's kind of odd. So she finally got in touch with the employee and he said, oh, I was just taking it for safekeeping. She
mhm,
she brought up a valid point. Why would you just take the SIM card? Why not just take the entire camera? It's not a
mhm,
big camera, and if somebody was going to take the camera, they take the whole camera. They wouldn't just take the SIM card. Why didn't you just take the entire camera? It's weird. And his answer to her was, well, I didn't want Erica Kirk to, view her husband dying, and I think he stated 4K. And and I'm like, okay, so that's what I'm thinking already. Like this is kind of stupid. It's a stupid excuse. Kind of sounds a little crazy. So,
mhm.
anyways, you saw Charlie Kirk die in 4K in many different angles. So I don't know what he was trying to protect
You,
her from. You have cameras all over that place. And then they took
yeah.
him, according to my understanding, they didn't even take him to the nearest hospital. They drove to a further hospital that was less equipped to handle it. And then, according to my information or my knowledge on the matter, the FBI took all the footage from that hospital where Charlie Kirk was.
You,
Why would
you,
the
you
FBI
know,
do that?
you know, you know, it's crazy. You saying that. You remember that video I sent you while you at work?
Oh yeah, that
It
was
make
great.
it makes me wonder if there's some truth to that.
Well, and that's why I was laughing because Cash Patel is trying to block them from looking into any like foreign governments that could have been involved. And it makes you wonder, why are you blocking people from looking into foreign governments? If there was a
I
foreign
don't even.
government involved, why wouldn't you want them to know? Especially
I
Trump.
don't even. Uh
Trump
huh.
Trump is
Mm-hmm,
apparently good friends with Charlie Kirk. They say it the whole time. They've been saying it. Charlie Kirk was like Charlie Kirk viewed Trump as like a father or a father figure.
mm-hmm,
He's
mm-hmm,
very close. Where's Trump on this?
mm-hmm,
That's the question I have. You know,
mm-hmm.
and
I
it's
think it's bigger. I think it's bigger than we know.
it
I
well,
wonder.
yeah.
I wonder too if like you you know have any. My question is, have anybody interviewed or spoken to the people that was right there?
I mean that I don't know. I really
That,
don't. FBI was
and
like I said, doing all
if
angles of
so,
it.
uh-huh. If so, are those people afraid to speak of what they really saw?
It could be true.
And then two, if we really knew what really happened, would we be ready for the truth, or would we still be would we still be oblivious even though we're asking all these questions because we don't want to see what's new?
Well, and
You know?
the problem with this whole situation is that it can go many different ways, right? And the reason why I
Hmm.
say this is because there's people that think Charlie Kirk went into witness protection. They're trying to link they're trying to link certain things that they heard, I guess, Cash Patel say and somebody else, and trying to be like, oh, he's in witness protection. Not likely. What did he know that he needed witness protection? I highly doubt it, but okay, that's a theory. Another theory is Israel killed him because he was getting ready to pull out of the pro-Israel lobby. And people actually were like, no, he lived for Israel. He died for Israel. And then Candace comes out and says, well, Charlie actually was getting ready to leave the pro-Israel lobby because the Israeli donors were were acting like the Israeli donors act whenever you talk about bringing somebody back into the fray that said something that they don't like and they deem anti-Semitic. And guess what? He wanted to bring back Candace Owens. Some of the Israeli donors were not happy about that. They did not want that. They didn't want her back into the fold, and that's why he decided to cut ties. He was going to cut ties with the pro-Israel lobby, and people didn't believe that. So she showed the text messages, and they were like, "Oh, we still don't believe you." Guess what? An employee from TP USA came out. He confirmed that he wanted to bring Candace back into the fold and that he was going to pull out of the Israeli lobby. And this came out of his mouth. This was not just her. So when people were like, she doesn't show receipts, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. So that's one route. One route is the Israelis could have killed him, the Israeli government, not Israelis like the all the Israelis, but the Israeli government, they say, could have had a hand in it. Charlie also saw he was getting ready to do a Doge investigation of his company's finances. Why? Because he wanted to know where the money was going, because he had a hunch that there was something wrong with the money. He didn't know where it was going. He ordered a Doge investigation into it, but before the Doge investigation was going to be happening and a Doge audit, he died. And then after he died, they canceled it. It's very suspicious. There are people in
Mhm.
TPUSA who have been lying. So some people say it's an inside job. It could be both. I'm not sitting here saying that it couldn't be both, and I'm not saying it's got to be one or the other. But the thing that kind of surprises me the most, because they also did confirm that there was an Egyptian military plane that was following Candace, or not Candace, Erica Kirk. I think Tucker Carlson came out and confirmed what Candace had been stating. He literally just came out and said that that was actually true. So, okay, so we also had an Egyptian military plane that was following Erica. But the one thing that I find very interesting, besides everybody attacking Candace,
Mhm.
I find Erica Kirk, her behavior to be very odd. And the reason why I say that is because you would think your husband was assassinated in front of the entire world. Your kids
Mhm.
are most likely going to grow up and see videos
Without a
of
fuck.
their father being killed. And the thing that strikes me so weird is instead of her saying, Candace Owens has questions that need to be answered. Questions in the organization that I am now running, and I want to know what's going on with my husband's assassination. I will set her up with interview after interview for anybody she has questions on, so that these answers come out to the public, but also for my clarity and for my peace of mind. And instead of
Mhm.
her doing that, she comes out and they finally talk to her and say, well, what do you have to say about Candace Owens spreading these lies? I don't know what lies you're talking about. Everything I've seen from her has been pretty spot on. But they're like, hey, what do you have to say to her? And she puts this furious face on, like you just mentioned this horrific witch of a person, and says, just stop.
Did,
That's
did
it.
they even did
Just
they
stop.
ever get along?
I don't know if they ever did. But here's my
And
thought
they,
process.
hmm
Your husband was just assassinated. This woman has a huge platform. Huge
hmm
platform that is followed. She has resources. She has sources. She is trying to get down to the bottom of your husband's murder, and all you have to say to her is stop. I'm not going to comply. And if you come after my TP USA family, that's going to be an issue? Last I checked, your husband is your family, and he's been put in the ground by somebody. TPUSA ain't your
hmm
family. It might be what Charlie Kirk was working on in an organization that he helped to build, but those people at the end of the day are not family. Your husband was your family. And she's kind of like, I don't want to hear anymore. Let's just let the courts go through it, and let's just let this kid get thrown in jail and probably the death penalty without anybody doing major investigations because the FBI don't seem like they're doing anything. which I think Cash Patel even stated that it's not at the federal level, it's a state level, which means you got the state that's doing what? Just curious. So before we move on to the next topic, was there anything else you wanted to share? I just wanted to point out Erica's odd behavior. Not saying she did
No,
anything.
no, there is this, that there is this theory from other videos I watched that she could have been a plant too.
Hmm. Yeah, there are
So it
some
don't really
that believe that. Yeah.
affect as much. But these are just speculations because we don't really know what goes on behind closed doors. So
No, I mean it's true. Apparently she has some acting classes. What I found to be very weird is that, like I said, she was quick to forgive. I think his name's Tyler Robinson. Uh, but she was real quick to get furious with Candace, who's asking questions. But yet the guy who murdered her husband, supposedly we can forgive that.
and,
That's
and
not a
then
big
we
deal.
and then the speculations of a affair too with that one dude that she hugged on the stage.
Yes, JD Vance, I think, is who you're talking about, and it was weird. I didn't get to really see the video of it. You saw pictures.
Yeah.
It was odd. I think they came out and stated that, she said he just had a lot of features in common with Charlie. I don't know if that's true. I mean, in all
Uh,
honesty, it could have just been, she could have just
this,
really known, um, she could have just really known Vance and was just going through a hard time and just did something odd.
but
So,
so so because you're married, I got a girl.
mhm,
If a man, if you are watching live TV and you see your woman like that,
mhm.
how you gonna feel?
Ah,
Mm.
I mean, do you even really need to say
Uh,
that?
uh, uh,
I, but here's the difference. She's technically a widow. Technically.
technic, but think about it, right? Like, yeah, she's a widow,
She's technically a widow, but JD Vance
but
is
what?
married.
All right, let me tell you this. All right, so let's say your your family is at home, like your parents, your brothers, whatever. They're watching your wife
Hmm.
on the TV, and that's where it happens. And then let's say you say he's married, so imagine his wife watching that. What what is going through your mind seeing that on TV from that perspective?
Well, okay, so if I wasn't alive, because you got to remember that plays a big key role. If I wasn't alive after
Hmm.
she killed, and my folks saw her, there's questions there because we don't know how her relationship is with Charlie Kirk's family. We don't know if she was close to them. We don't know if they even get
That
along.
that is true.
So I mean, there's a lot to really take in there. But I would say her making a mistake or doing something for a minute a little more intimate that she probably shouldn't have been doing. I won't hold too much against her, but yes, if she was close to the family and they saw that, she'll probably be hearing she'll probably be hearing about it at Christmas if they get together. I can assure you. you know.
That that's what's weird to me too, because there's no really like from everything I've seen from like all the research from the I don't want to say all the research.
Yeah,
That
no,
would be
no, we're
untruthful.
both
But
coming from
from
limited perspectives here,
yeah,
so.
so from the limited research I did and from the things I've seen, they don't really mention his family other than her and the kids.
No, yeah, I mean, I haven't heard much. I've heard a little bit about her family. I don't know if it's true. It could just be,
Yeah, I did hear a lot about
yeah,
that her
they're
side,
throwing things
but
around about her family. I don't
yeah,
hear anything
but
about his. So,
yeah, so that's what makes me wonder, like what like is there any relation?
well, relation in what way?
Like, are they close? Like, is the family able to see the grandkids or whatever?
Oh,
Have you
okay.
not?
So you
Because
mean literally just
for
like how their relationship is? Okay.
yeah, because for me per se, I'm not gonna lie, I never knew. Like I never knew who he was. Like I didn't even know he was really like up there like that when it came to like I guess popularity or well known person
Mhm.
when it comes to fame, if you could say.
You know, you mean Charlie
I
Kirk?
didn't I didn't even know about him until like a couple videos like a couple videos ago, and then when the when he died, that's when more videos more videos of him talking to other people circulated. That's when
Yeah.
I started.
He was
Um,
huge. He was huge. He
mhm.
was, but the thing with Charlie Kirk is he was mainly on campuses. So
I saw that too.
so it's very different because like a lot, his commentary and his stuff, you'd have to actually go looking for unless like
Mhm.
you started following certain political groups that were showing like campus debates, campus speeches, things like that. Because that's how I ran into Charlie Kirk. I was watching, I think, first many years ago was Ben Shapiro. I'm not a fan of Ben Shapiro anymore. I don't know, he's different. But that's how I started finding him. I found Dinesh D'Souza, Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro. I also found, I think it's Andrew Welsh, or I forget. But that's how I found quite a few of them. And Charlie Kirk he was really good, and he had so much experience and time researching these fields that when he would actually have these debates, he was really good at it. He was really good
Mhm.
at it, and he was really good at defending the viewpoints that needed to be defended and to bring this ideology to these kids on these college campuses because let's face it, they're getting indoctrinated. They're getting indoctrinated. They're going to these schools. These schools are ran by a lot of hardcore Democrat leftists, and all they want to do is beat the crap out of conservative people. They want to beat the crap out of their ideology. They want to force them to start thinking on the left point of view. And by the time they're out, before you know it, they're these crazy leftists, and you're over here thinking to yourself, how did you get like this? You went to college. You spent thousands of dollars to get an education. Where did this come from? Because it doesn't make any sense. But that's another conversation for another time, obviously, because we're getting more into colleges. But no, I mean, Charlie Kirk was huge. He was huge, and he did a lot, and he was one of the biggest reasons that Trump actually got elected. And that actually brings me to the next topic, because I wanted to actually talk about Trump. I wanted to see what you thought, how his performance is going, if you agree with what he's been doing, if you're even familiar with what he's been doing and what he promised to do in his campaign when he ran.
So, for the people who are somewhat like me, who don't really follow the news or like, is it the, I guess you could say live under a rock or whatnot. Can you elaborate more? By
Yeah.
and,
So I'm sure you probably are, at least at bare minimum, that one of the things
yeah.
he ran was on immigration.
Hmm.
Immigration was a big deal for him.
Hmm.
He said he was going to close those borders. He was going to really hone in hard on deportations, deporting illegal immigrants. He was bragging about how transparent he was going to be. He was going to release the Epstein files. He was going to end the wars. So these are just some of the big headline news, obviously that he ran on. So for me, Trump has kind of been, I don't know, I'm kind of at a 50-50. Not at the fact that his performance isn't leading in the direction that he said. So the reason why I'm stating that is because I was looking at the deportations. He's not at any record high levels for the deportations. Believe it or not, Bill Clinton um, had more deportations than him. Bill Clinton had more.
That's that's what I be telling people when I have conversations with them because
They don't know
I think
this.
yeah, I think because he gets so much more coverage due to the fact of the things he says, people think he's like the number one
So
uh president that's out here
no, it's
deporting people.
it's true. So I'm gonna share my screen with you real quick.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna share the entire thing. So can you see it?
Let me see. Uh, yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so this here, so people can see, this here is the deportation record from Joe Biden, from Reagan all the way to Joe Biden. Bill
Mhm.
Clinton's second term, all the way up here. Blue stands for the deportations. Red stands for the total cases that they had. He had more deportations than cases that they took in.
But
Okay,
he
so
had more
this is
than
the
everybody on
highest
this
right here.
list.
Where is good old Trump boy? First
Right here.
term, deportations
Yeah.
all the way down here, cases that they saw all the way here. Shoot, even Biden had more deportations than he did. Saw a lot more cases, led about, I'd say maybe a little more than half or a little less than half stay. Look at how many he
Mhm.
deported. Now, granted, you
Mhm.
could say, well, look at Trump. He saw and he probably deported almost 3/4 of cases that there were, and he deported most of them. So I mean, yeah, if you look at it from that perspective, okay. But if you look at Bill Clinton, once again, not even close. Then you have George W. Bush, not even close. Second term George W. Bush, not even close. Barack Obama, not even close. And Barack Obama's second term, very close with the cases seen. He even deported more than Trump on his first term. This just goes to show people he was talking about immigration. He didn't deport. This round, he actually stated he was going to be deporting. And let me show you because I'm going to exit that there because you saw the numbers. So this here shows where he's at in 2025, at least up to the point that they did this survey. So as you can see, he's at total deportations for 2025, 207,000. So we're going to see how that goes because if you look over here in 2019, which seems to be the highest on this list, oh no, in 2024, Biden, 271,000 for 1 year. Because you got to remember, these are yearly. These are yearly. So it just goes to show you. I can end the screen share there, but it just goes to show you that as far as deportations, he's not doing anything special. It is his first year because if you look back at the Biden one that I showed you, his first 2 years weren't much on deportations. His last 2 years were in the six digits. So right now, I'd say Trump's not doing horrible. He's at 2,000 or 207,000. But we got to remember, Biden, they estimate, let in about 10 million illegal immigrants. That's estimation. I don't know the hardcore numbers. I don't even know if there's a way that they can tell the hardcore numbers because
I mean,
they're
you got
illegal people. Like, how would you know how many of them came in if you're not counting because they're illegal? You're just letting them in.
yeah,
So,
and then too, you got to remember about that program he had. Uh, what's that program? Because a lot of people from Haiti came to the United States in that program as well.
are you talking? Well, are you talking about asylum seekers or something
No, no, no.
else?
I forgot the name of that program where everybody like where they were letting people in when Biden was in office.
Oh,
I forgot the
I
name
don't
of
know. I don't know what it's called.
It's a
Was
it's
it
some
Pathway to
it's on the
Citizenship or
is
something like that?
yeah, yeah, yeah. When they came in for a little bit, they were allowed to work, and then eventually like get the residency.
They do still have that. I don't know if it's called a special program. I know that people, if they have permission to come in and they have like a visa or something, there are pathways to citizenship. I don't know how it works
Mhm.
100%. So obviously I don't want to talk about something I don't know too much, but I did get into a debate with a guy that was like, oh, illegal immigrants don't cost us money. But I would know because my family was immigrants that came here, and I can tell you firsthand that they don't cost America money. And I told him you're full of crap. I went on there. I think it was the CDC statistics where I was able to pull up. Guess what? They cost us billions a year. And I showed him that. And this is the reason why sometimes I feel like you shouldn't be able to work at the immigration office or be able to make any policy changes unless you're like the third or fourth generation immigrant, because He's the first, I think, generation immigrant of his family, and he's like, I want to make it easier for people to become legal citizens. Well, hold the phone. We already have a lot of Americans that are scumbags that if we could get rid of, I would be on board for getting rid of because they're a net drag on the rest of the American people that work really hard. So we already have our own American citizens that, in my opinion, would be considered garbage. So we already got to deal with that. But the people that want to come here to make a better life, we can at least vet, take a look at, and be like, look, if you're not going to be a drain on the American people who are already struggling to make ends meet, then we're all for it. But when you tell that to people, they act as though you're saying some horrific thing that we should just be opening our borders and letting everybody in. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted Trump, because Trump was really hard on illegal immigration. You know, I have a really good friend, born and raised here in America. When I talk to him about immigration, sometimes I swear loyalties are to Mexico. And I'm over here thinking to myself, you're born here, your son's born here, your wife, to my understanding, is born here, but most of all, your son's future is here. You have a vested interest in America. America is the country that your son's going to grow up in. And yet, when we talk, it's like, well, I'm more worried about how they're treating the illegal Mexican citizens because I'm tired of how they're treating them. Well, last I checked, they're being treated like every other criminal. What happens to American citizens when they break the law? They're arrested, they're taken away from their family, they get one phone call. If they're lucky, they get bail. But here's the difference: when you're illegal, you don't get the option of bail. You shouldn't be getting the option of bail. When you're illegal, they should already be looking at your case and saying, okay, this is an open shut case. We got to deport them. So, anyways, but that's one of the reasons why I voted for Trump. Trump to me has been kind of on that. Foreign wars. He said he was going to end the wars. He was hoping to be able to do it in a few months, which I laughed because I honestly thought he might have been able to do it. But unfortunately, the Ukraine conflict is still going. Now, there hasn't been any major announcements that I'm aware of there. So it kind of sounds like everything's kind of dialed down, including the Middle East, from what I can see. But
Mhm.
there's no official peace deals yet. So technically, those wars are still ongoing. But he's making it seem like, you know, I'm the best. I I walk on water. I'm as good as Jesus. I deserve the credit. I don't want to release the Epstein files because it's going to take away from what my administration has done. We're going to build America better. We're going to stop taking in a lot of merchandise that is useless to the American people. We can just make it ourselves. We can just make it ourselves, make it better. So, anyways, that's like my horrific Trump impression, but you get it, right? You know, so he did tariffs to bring countries to the table. I absolutely loved it. I know a lot of people weren't happy. Prices went up on certain things, but he brought them to the table. He got them to negotiate. Loved it. Foreign wars, they've dialed down. Okay, I guess we can give it to him. The one thing that I am a little kind of I'm not sure about is because when he ran the first time, he didn't take any donors' money. This time around, he took donors' money. So you have to look at the donors. One of the donors, according to my understanding, uh, I forget her name, is something Adelson, or she's a hardcore Zionist. And usually, when her money gets thrown into the ring, anyone she donates winds up having to essentially plead their loyalty to Israel. That's my biggest issue because I want him to focus on America only because we're in a very tough spot. So now that I've kind of shared everything that he ran on and my thoughts on it, what do you think? Is there anything that you'd like to share?
um, of course, I get your viewpoint, and trust me, that a lot of things that you've been saying is what a lot of people been saying. I guess for me, the viewpoint on it is a little bit different because like for me, the way I always look at it is at the end of the day, whether we're born here or not, we're all immigrants. Whether it came from our ancestors, our parents, or those who came before us. You know what I mean? And then two, I guess in a way, I try to be a little bit more understanding because you gotta understand. Well, you don't have to understand, but it pays to understand the fact that there are people that's been in this country for what probably 30 plus years. They don't even have their papers because they're not as fortunate as some to be able to have the correct the to meet the correct people to help them get their proper paperwork, if that makes sense. Because I've met people that says they are still trying to get their proper paperwork, and what I mean by that is like they'll hire a lawyer or whatever or representatives to get that paperwork done, and the representatives just take their money and the issue never gets resolved. So what is it they're supposed to do? If they're going from person to person
Hmm.
to get said paperwork resolved so that way they could stay in the country or just get the legal paperwork to be with their family or see their grandkids grow up or such and such, and they're being taken advantage of.
Okay.
I
But
think a lot of people
I guess we would
don't
have to
see.
break that down. But before I do, I want to make sure you finish your point.
I think a lot of people don't see that viewpoint. To me, like for me, like my family immigrated from Haiti. You feel me? We were very fortunate because I don't know if my dad did his research properly because like the family we had here, they didn't really help us for real. You know what I mean? We were literally thrown to the dogs to figure it out, and God willing, we were able to figure it out because my father and my mother did what they needed to figure it out and provide for me. You know what I'm saying? To make sure that we had the proper paperwork for me, for it to not come to the point where I'm not welcome here. You know what I mean? Because we're seeing a whole bunch of videos um, where it's things are getting out of control. Like like
Yeah.
you seeing
No,
people
it's true.
getting treated like dogs. Like at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We came here for an opportunity because where we were at, the windows or the door were closing for whatever reason there is. It's not something I want to get into, but long story short, the windows were closing or the doors were closing. So you hear about all these opportunities in this land, and in this land, where you call it America, it's full of people from different cultures that makes it America.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
realistically, we're all immigrants.
Okay. Well,
If you talk about how the land was founded, like you know what I'm
the difference
saying?
between immigrants and
We're all,
settlers.
no, no.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Settlers kind of come in, they conquer, they take over. You're not really immigrants at that point. I claim
but
this land. I
but
paid for it.
think about it. If you did that, what gives you the right to charge those who are seeking the same opportunity? People, you know what I'm
So,
saying?
so
And
I
then
guess
two,
where.
like there are certain jobs to me, I think, like yeah, we have immigrants, but they're willing to work it because all they know is hard work. To where, like, we have people who were born here or whatever, they don't want to do those jobs.
Mhm. All right. So okay. So I see where you're coming from. Why don't we start from this basic block? Okay. And this is not me knocking you. Okay. I just want to
Hey
break.
man,
I want to break things down so that we fully get both sides across.
go ahead,
So,
brother.
do you believe in law and order?
I mean, you gotta have law. You gotta have some type of law, or
Okay.
else there'll be chaos. Because if you watch what, so if you, for example, if you watch what Walking Dead, Walking Dead, there's no. There- there's no law, there's no structure.
Mhm.
It's everybody gimme, gimme, gimme. What what do you see happens? Is every man for themselves? It's
Yeah, that's
chaos.
that's a fair point. I mean, you also got dead zombies everywhere, but it's a realistic it's a realistic point.
You know what I'm
So
saying?
why don't we break it? Why don't we take it from there? Because you said you have to have law and order. So let's take it from there. Let's go a step further. Does America actually accept immigrants from all over the world legally? Do they take in citizens from all
I,
over the world?
I do not know.
They do. They do. One of the main reasons why they have issues with south of the border is because they're cutting in line from people in other countries that don't have the luxury of being right up against the border. So
Hmm.
let's just say that I were to concede, right, and say that America is a land of immigrants. Okay,
Hmm.
which is a fair point because you were stating it's a land of immigrants, right? So let's just say I concede that. You also said that you need law and order to have a civilized society. You have to have it, okay?
Yeah,
But
or else
we've
it's
made
chaos.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
exactly. So there's 2 points that
Hmm.
we're already on. Land of
Hmm.
immigrants, law and order. Here's the
Hmm.
issue. If you're an immigrant and you come into this country and it's legal, you've been vetted and you're welcomed, we love you. We want to have you. Here's the other thing. In order to have law and order, we have a law in the books that states if you cross this border illegally, you are a felon. You've committed a felony. So when people say that I've been here for 30 years, 20 years, 10 years, and I've been a hard-working person, you've been a felon that's been hiding from the law that's stating that you're trying to make ends meet, which you really legally shouldn't be able to. And it is a sad reality that they've been here 10, 20, 30 years. But the truth is if our system was enforcing these laws from the beginning, you wouldn't have people with those sad stories. You'd be having people stating, "Hey, I came from China, I came from Cuba. I came from these other countries, and I had to go through a process because even legal immigrants who went through a 10-year process to become legal, they get mad at these illegal immigrants that are being thrown in front of the line.
I'm
And
not
that's
saying
kind of
that.
where I'm at. I look at those legal immigrants, and I'm looking at our law and order, like I was saying with the raids. Have you seen what's been going on with the ICE raids?
That's I see good here and there. I see, like I
It's
know what goes
crazy.
on in the world. Yeah,
It's crazy because they're actually trying to enforce federal law and they're being fought by legal citizens stating you're not going to do this, and they're doing it just because they feel like it's wrong to do it. But as you stated, we have to have law and order. That's a federal law. And if you're fighting the government for enforcing a legal federal law that has to be enforced so that we can maintain our civilized society, now we're starting to have issues because now that's starting to look a lot like we have one group that doesn't want to abide by America's rules and another group that's saying, "Hey, these are the laws of our land. You need to comply." And you have mayors, governors, senators that are all starting to be like that in these bigger cities.
yeah.
Mamdani stated to Trump that you're not going to come in here, you're not going to do raids, you're not going to do nothing. And Trump essentially said, "Hey, we'll see about that. I'll arrest you. I'll arrest you for being a traitor. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I'm all
Well,
for it."
I think your point of view from my point of view is so. What I'm trying to say is it's not about the sob story that I've been here for 30 years while you're kicking me out. I feel for those who are actually trying to get the proper documents, but they're getting screwed over by the representatives. If that makes it, because I could have been one of those people that my parents got screwed over by the representative that they went to that said, you know what, you can come here. We're gonna help you get your paperwork. Because think about it, when we come, it's like if you go to what's a country that you always wanted to visit? Do you have one?
Ooh, I was hardcore just staying in America. You know me and flying. But
No,
if
no,
I
no.
had
I'm
one
saying,
place to go, if I were to
uh,
say probably Ireland.
you said where?
Say probably Ireland.
Ireland. So let's say you step foot in Ireland. You feel me? The way they speak is a little bit different from how we speak. You don't really know how to navigate because you ain't never been there. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, you can watch the videos, the guides of what where to go for the tourists and all that, but without the proper like without the correct person or the guide, without the proper guide, you're not gonna reach your destination. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what
So if you get those people that's coming in, and let's say I don't know their story, like I said, I'm an outsider looking in. So let's say for 30 years, or let's say out of those 30 years, they took 10 or 20, 10, 15, 20 years, or however long they were trying to get their proper documents,
you're.
and they were getting screwed over. What else are they supposed to do? You know what I don't know if that makes sense.
No, no, it makes sense, but where you and I need to make sure we get our stuff clear is these people that are
Mhm.
here that are getting screwed over by their representative, did they come here legally to where they should be able to access that representative? And you and I are
That's a good
just
question.
like,
That's a good
no, I
question.
don't agree with the representative taking advantage of these people. Or did they
Hmm.
come here illegally and now they're like, where's my legal representation? Because now I want to get in here legal and now they're just screwing me over. Because to me, if you came here illegal, you're a felon. I don't agree with legal representation helping you, period. If you came here legally and you're just like, look, I've been trying, it's been 10, 20 years, can we find a way to make this process easier? We can talk about that. I'm open to it. I'm not against it in the slightest. I'm very open to it because, like you said, they are people. Some of them are really, and that's why we have asylum seekers, right? Because we understand there are countries that are very dangerous. We understand that there are some people that are being hunted down in certain countries, very dangerous. We don't want them to be forced to go back to their country and die. We get that. That's why we have asylum seekers. So I think you and I agree. I think the thing is we were getting confused on that because you're like representative. I don't want them to be taken advantage of, and I'm with you. If you're here legally and you're kind of being thrown in a circle, and your representative isn't helping you to get legal, like legal status or citizenship status, I'm with you. That's not cool. I don't agree with that. But you and I agree on law and order, which means if that federal law is in the books and it's stating if you come here illegally you're a felon, then at least you should agree with me that then legal representation is very limited for you. Because you came in here illegally, you're already breaking a crime and then telling me you want to become a legit citizen. That's dangerous. In my
There's a
opinion, that's
difference
dangerous.
between. I think that there's a difference between citizen and resident because resident
There is.
allow to get work.
There
Because
is, yeah.
what you're saying is citizen. I'm saying if I came here and I want residency, let's say I found a way to get here illegally, which is not what it is. So don't come at me
Oh, snap. You
for
said illegal. Ooh.
the for
All
the
right, let me
people.
get my horns. A
So,
pitchfork.
but man, you made me forget what I was going.
I'm sorry, my bad.
Yeah, but I just think I don't know. I think it's a I wouldn't say touch, in a sense touchy subject to where I could understand all sides because like I came from Haiti myself.
Hmm.
Um, we're fortunate,
Yeah, and
and
here's the
not
thing.
everybody is fortunate.
And here's the thing. That's a reality where we will have to come to the realization that there are people that are not going to be fortunate, and it sucks. But we also have to come to that reality. It's like, look, are there some people that are going to be left in the cracks? Yes. You know, America did not promise to be the entire world's savior. We can only do so much. Now, I think the only
Mhm.
thing that's helping us is that America is also not replacing its population. So, as far as having kids, there's not enough kids being born to replenish. But here's the thing, if you don't vet people properly and assimilate them into our civilization, you start getting a bunch of people that come here. They don't share our values. They don't even know how the Constitution works, the Bill of Rights works. They don't like America because let's face it, a lot of the people in these major cities, they're holding up Mexico's flag, they're holding up all these other countries' flags, and it's like, what is going on here? Are you guys
So you're saying
California of Mexico or are you California
so
of the United States?
so
Because
you're saying they
assimilation is
can't rep,
very important.
so you're saying they can't rep their country
They
or
can,
the
but when
country
you're
they
fighting
then
the ICE agency and you're repping Mexico, that's a little bit of a problem.
so you
Because,
saying because so I rep IT because I have the little flag the boxing
yeah,
flag in my thing. So is that an issue?
LJ, are you fighting ICE? Talk to me, LJ. I wanna make you better. Okay?
Because I don't want no smoke. I don't want no smoke.
Oh, but what I'm saying is you can represent your country's flag or who you want to represent. But when you're fighting ICE agents who represents America and their law and
Mhm.
order and they're trying to do their job and they're trying to enforce our actual legal laws, and then you're representing Mexico and acting like this is a war zone and attacking their cars and attacking them, these people are doing a job. And at the end of the day, they're trying to get home to their wives, they're trying to get home to their kids, and that's not right. It's dangerous. It's a dangerous precedence to set. Anyways, I'm sorry. I was being distracted for a minute there. But so,
Are
anyways, I
you
think it's
good?
fair to say we've made some
Mhm.
headway on some fronts, and we've made no headway on certain fronts.
Hey, and the whole point of this is to have that conversation that's gonna, I guess, get people to
You
see
watch.
different
I'm gonna do a Trump
different.
voice one of these days. It's gonna win you over, my friend. Just haven't
I,
gotten there
I,
just yet. But
I,
we're
I might have to have my buddy come on and do the his impersonation real quick
oh, that'd be
one of
great.
these
I would
days.
love it. But so we've pretty much touched on almost all the subjects. We did touch on immigration. Now, granted, I don't think I got your overall opinion on how you think Trump's done. You think he's done pretty good? You think he's kind of hasn't impressed you? I mean, what would you say as
Uh,
far as performance? I think he's okay. I don't think he's horrible.
Honestly, I don't really pay attention. What I mean by that is like, what's the best way I could put it? My stocks are up. My stocks are up.
All right, so it's leaning good.
Every, so what I will say is like everybody has their opinions, right?
Hmm.
You know, some will say he's good, some will say he's bad. For me, I I think every person that comes, they bring something new. They either open certain doors that lets you see how people really react to certain things, and there's discussions that are able to have about it.
Okay.
And some people that come in, they keep certain doors closed to where there's uncertainty about how others feel towards certain subjects, if that makes sense.
I get it. But you
Yeah.
got to give me a he's doing phenomenal, flawless. He's doing okay, mid. Like there's room
So,
for improvement. Or
since we're
he's just
talking,
doing god awful. Like my
since,
dog would
since
do better.
since this is a political subject, I'm gonna just go with a political answer. How about that?
Ooh, I am not a fan. Not a fan at all. LJ,
How
that
about
hits me
that?
right here. Hits me right here. All right, we'll
How
talk
about,
about this later.
how
Um,
about that?
we're gonna save we're gonna save Israel for another time because obviously the other co-hosts that are gonna be on
Hmm.
hopefully next Friday. I think we're gonna try to do a
Hmm.
game streaming session, but then after that we'll do another political one unless the guys decide we should do another political one because they couldn't make it tonight. But I know they would love to touch on Israel, so because I know they would love to touch on it. I'm going to hold
Hmm.
off on that for tonight. And the last topic that we had that we hadn't really talked about, or maybe that we grazed on, is civil war. What do you think? I mean, do you think we're on the verge of it? Could you possibly see it happening? Or do you think it's just kind of tensions are high because Charlie Kirk was shot? But give it, half a year to a year, and things will just die back down. What do you think?
It's not what I think. It's what the people think. You feel me?
Give me a political answer. LJ, let's
No,
review
no.
this again,
What
LJ.
what I mean is like um a lot of things are inevitable. You know what I mean? If something happens to where whoever's in charge feel like they gotta defend, then we'll probably see it. If there's a way to hash it out to where we don't have to go that route, then um
Well, I mean, as
it,
far as citizenry, like I'm not talking about an actual, like let's just say Mondani from New York is like, okay, we're gonna start fighting America. We're gonna fight the ICE agents. We're gonna start fighting the federal government. I mean, like, could you possibly see, because Charlie Kirk was killed by a private citizen. He wasn't killed, at least to our understanding, he wasn't killed by any foreign government, at least as of right now. We're just going to go with the fact that he was killed by a private citizen. Could you see the left and the right getting into a civil war? I mean, in your opinion, just based off everything that's happening, or how do you feel about that?
based on everything I've been seeing, there are a lot of like uh is it not laws per se, but a lot of what's that word? A lot of like I don't I can't find the word.
Is it kind of
Um
like a law, but just another kind of word for it, another level? Are
yeah,
you talking
so
about
like
amendments, bill of rights?
so so you know how like there's certain laws that we have it here in Florida that let's say you go to
Oh,
Georgia.
local laws, like state laws, things like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. So we have like for instance our governor like don't agree with certain things that like are going on outside of other states, and it's like that with a lot of the states, you know. So it all depends. I don't even know where I was going. To be forgetful, man.
Well,
I
I'll
just
go with where I'm gonna go. Give you a little bit of time to remember that pathway you slipped off of. Okay.
you always distracted me. That's why I can't remember.
Oh, I do have a beautiful face. Were you looking at my eyes?
Whoa, 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 whoa. He turned into never mind.
I know. Anyways, um, where I kind of see it is, I actually think that it is possible. I do believe that we're heading down a slippery slope. I think nobody wants to 100% say it, because you got to remember that the hardcore leftists, they don't view us as people. They view us as Nazis. They view us as bigots, which I'm not saying you're part of the conservative party. I lean right, absolutely I do, and I would call myself a conservative. But you can't live with somebody that views you as a cancer. You can't, and they're showing that. So if you were to believe the narrative for Charlie Kirk, he was killed by a hardcore leftist that didn't agree with his views. And all Charlie Kirk was doing was talking, if you believe the narrative. And that actually happens. One of the guys that'll be on next week, like I said, hopefully they'll make it. He was actually going over with me probably a year ago several cases of Democrats killing Republicans. Several cases. And he was saying if you think a civil war hasn't already started, he would actually probably state that you're mistaken, because
But
there
go
are
ahead.
many cases that they're killing for political views. And there was a don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Republicans don't kill Democrats, because I really don't know. I didn't do the research. I'm just telling you what a buddy of mine was telling me and that he looked
Mhm.
into. And I think we're actually on a very slippery slope. And I think there's going to come a point where we're going to have to really think about what we're going to have to do. Is this going to be a time to get violent or not? Because we're getting to a point where it's either we save our country or we don't. And hardcore leftists and hardcore right people, depending on what their views are on the right, it's a danger. But hardcore leftists, look at the cities that they run. They're trash. They're horrific shows. You have homeless on the streets. You have them pooping all over the place. You have needles all over the place. You have stores being broken into, and cops can't do anything unless they exceed a certain amount. Like, these are no jokes, and this does not represent America. This represents third world countries, and it should not be like this. So I think personally, a lot of people don't want to deal with the fact that we may have to at some point actually arm up. That's what your Second Amendment right was for, was when the government becomes tyrannical. If the government of New York, the government of California, if they're not going to fix their streets and they're not going to start showing their people a better way, then the American people may have to boot up and they may have to take care of this problem themselves. And it's dangerous to think that way. It's dangerous and it's scary because I don't advocate for it. But that's
I
my
don't think
take.
that's going to happen. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's like
I think,
we're
I think,
winning.
I
I
think,
think we're on the precipice though.
I, I, I don't think that's going to happen. I think something really crazy would have to happen for that to happen because a lot of people are scared. If that makes sense, they rather just keep their heads down and do what they got to do to provide for their family until their time comes and go on to the next life or whatever that. I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay. Well,
Um,
can I
are
give
there
you a? Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
are there pe- are there people who disagrees with what's probably going on? Yeah. Are there people who watch the news and don't agree with a lot of stuff? Yeah. Are there people who stay away from the news because they can't take it? For sure. But for that to happen, I think with something catastrophic or everybody would have to get hella fed up for that to happen. I don't really see that happening, honestly. Um, what you call it? Because it's funny that like for me, I never understood like the whole political thing. That's why when you asked me to join the podcast and you wanted to talk about political, you know me, I've never been one to be about politics because like to me politics don't make sense because like for instance people who really do the research for real, like the Democrat Party used to be the Republican Party, and the Republican Party used to be the Democrat Party. So in reality, what are you really leading towards into? You know what I'm saying? Because the party just got flipped.
But
So who's to
I
say
would
the
ask you
parties?
to do your research because they
I'm
did
not
it.
saying
I would ask just do
no,
your research because that's like saying all the robbers became police and all the police became the robbers.
no.
Like,
I'm not.
really think
That's not
about that because I've heard that
that
narrative being said that they
that's
swapped. They didn't.
that's not what I mean. But it's like certain things change to where like the roles reverse, if that makes sense. But
Well, how so?
I,
Like, do you mean like Democrats being the party of, um, just don't get mad. I'm just gonna say it. But being the party of like the KKK, and then it seems like the right, the far
I,
rights are the KKKs, because
I
to be
don't know.
honest with you, they blame Trump for being one of these hardcore rightists, and he was condemning racism. He's done it several times. I've seen him do it. So I don't see how he would fit, but I get what you mean because they do equivalate hardcore rightists for being these white nationalists like Nick Fuentes.
Mhm,
So Nick
mhm.
Fuentes, I will say this though. Nick Fuentes is very interesting. If you've never seen him, I would tell you to watch a couple of his videos. You will probably get mad. You probably will. He has some very there are things that he says that he's spot on point, and then there are things that he says that you're just kind of like you cringe because he says things in a way that is very triggering. Very triggering.
Yeah,
So if you ever have a chance to see him, I would say go ahead and see him. At least give him one or two videos and then tell me what you think. I can almost guarantee because I know how
I
you
probably won't be.
are
I
that you
probably
are
won't be
probably gonna
confused.
tell me I don't like him. I don't like
Yeah.
him. But
Like
that
I
being
said,
said,
me personally, I never understood the whole like for me, I never understood the whole political stuff. You know what I
well,
mean?
that's because we're not going for anything professional. Because let's face it,
Yeah.
to go for anything professional, you're essentially guaranteeing that you're going to go down a corrupt path. I mean, I hate to say it. A lot of politicians, I really think, are just corrupt. It's just to what level of corruption and what level, they can be manipulated. So, to me, I think these people go in with good intentions, and then when they get there, I think there might be somebody pulling the strings. It's something that's I can't 100% prove, but they do things. They like Bill Clinton, for instance, he sold secrets to the Chinese. Never did a day in jail. Never did a day in jail. Hillary Clinton destroyed files in her home that she shouldn't have had. didn't do a day in jail. You know what I mean? So
The the one I know about that one was like where she was taking money from Haiti.
it. But once again, like these politicians do stuff, they don't go to jail, they don't see anything. And here's the thing: when politicians do stuff like that, that's actually treason. That's not. Oh, they just committed fraud or they did something. Like that's treason. You have a political figure that has sold state or country secrets to another country. That is 100% treason. But that being said, this is going to be. You mind if I have the final word real quick on the
Oh,
Civil War topic?
go
So
ahead,
this is the last thing
man.
I'm going to
Mr.
say, and then we'll cut it because I know we've been going for a while. But
Mr.
the last thing I
Political,
wanted to
yeah.
say on the Civil War, the reason why I believe we're a lot closer than what people think. People like to use January 6th as a insurrection, right? Even though I can tell you there's plenty of evidence where the police removed the barricades, let people walk in, and there were even some people that were given tours. But when Trump was almost shot and he shouted fight, if Trump would have died there, I can almost guarantee you there would have been a militia movement because people are already thinking that the government is corrupt, which even I share that view. People are already thinking that the last election may have been rigged. There was a lot of evidence to support funny business in that election. Am I going to go so far as to say it was rigged? I have no 100% concrete evidence of that. You know what I do have 100% concrete evidence of? There was a lot of funny business in that last election, and I can at least prove that. So when we say, about the Civil War, I don't know. I personally, and this is just the last word on it, unless there is something you want to say as the last word, I think depending on who it is that's martyred, I think it could set it off. I do. I think if Trump were to be assassinated right now, I think the right would lose it. I think you would probably get a militia group. Now, how fast it grows and what direction it takes, that might be different, but Trump is a figure that has definitely built its own movement. I think that movement's kind of being torn a little bit because of the Israeli influence that people think that it's under. And I think that's a fair point, but that's another topic for another time. So anyways, that was my thoughts on it, just to kind of give you an example of how I thought we were really close. Um, but hey, let's hope it never comes to that because civil war is dangerous. That's war breaking out in the streets where you live, where kids live. This isn't no, let's go to another field and let's fight in an open combat. If civil war happens, this is happening in our streets, behind our homes, and in front of us. So,
You might be onto something because you remember when during COVID when like uh the Black Life thing was going on,
mhm,
the riots, the
yeah,
store that small business owners were their stores were getting busted down.
yeah.
So you might be onto something. You might be a lot.
I can only throw ideas. I can only throw what I see. I'm not saying that I'm like Jesus.
but
I'm
but
saying
but
that.
the I will say that people are getting a lot more closer to being fed up than anything. From what I saw that year, I didn't
It's what
partake,
it
but
takes.
from what I saw that year, just from driving around or just um, like what was on social media, I think what was it Cali the most affected, but
Um, I thought it was. What is that place? Crud. It's gonna bother me. I'm gonna look it up next time we get together. I'm gonna pull that up. Um, because you're talking about the BLM riots, right? Like, what was the place that was
yeah,
going on? I
yeah,
think it
yeah,
was Portland, if I remember correctly. I think Portland had a police department that was completely destroyed. But I could
yeah.
be wrong. That's just what I'm going off of memory. But that'll be something we will definitely get into one of these days. But I found it to be a very interesting conversation tonight. I really think we made some headway there as far as some of these topics and where we stand. I look forward to next week. I think we're going to be doing gaming, so we're going to be doing a streaming session. Now all I got to do is act like I know what I'm doing as far as setting up that streaming session, and then we're all good to go. And then from there it'll be another political session, and we'll have, hopefully some more people with us to be able to give us different views, or to be more exaggerative with agreeing with me, because I'm amazing that way. Just kidding, bro. But anyways, this was the Crusade
But
cast. LJ, is there anything you want to say to the people?
no, no, not nothing at all. You did it all, Mister Benjamin. But I will say for the gaming one, if you need help setting it up, just let me know.
You know it, man. Well, you know we'll be talking from here till then, so I'm sure I'll be doing another Trump impression of how much I suck at trying to
Mhm.
figure this whole thing out, but we'll figure it
One
out
day,
together, brother.
yes,
Anyways,
sir.
everybody, have a good night.